Hello, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, and Sat Sri Akal. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to WNTV. I am your host, SM Irfan Tahir. Let me introduce my honorable guest, Dr. Andy Street, CBE, Mayor of the West Midlands Combined Authority. Our today topic is general discussion about local issues and the economy. Welcome, Andy. I have very little time today. Let's get started. Andy, categories have been created for the distributions of vaccine. The Asian community also falls into the vulnerable category. In this regard, will you set any priorities in these areas with regards to vaccine?
So, good afternoon or good evening, Irfan. It's lovely to be with you on your channel. So, the answer to the question is that everything is being done by priority group around age and vulnerability. So, we're not saying any particular community is having a priority at all. And, this is hotly contested. I think that's very fair. So, irrespective of which community you're in, it's all about age, and the over 80s go first, then down all of the ages. So everyone will eventually get to be vaccinated. And we're hoping the first vaccinations in England are a week on Monday.
And the Asian community has a lot of underlying health issues. So have you allocated any funding to solve all these problems?
So what we have done on this, moving away from the vaccine to the general point, we have, first of all, we've done a major report across the Combined Authority looking at the health impact of COVID on different communities. And it's confirmed that the underlying issues are much greater in the Asian community. And therefore, we're now saying we've got to really act to address those underlying issues. Lots of them are about economic opportunities, but some of them are about access to health. And so, yeah, we will be definitely doing things to address those issues. So, for example, making sure that there are easy places for members of the community to go and get diagnostic tests without having necessarily to go to the hospital. So things that address those underlying problems.
Andy, what are your plans for general well-being and sports activities?
So the whole point about well-being and sport, let's think about mental well-being. First of all, that's probably one of the most important things. So we call it our Thrive program around mental well-being. We're making that available to everyone to look at, all the advice around that. If you want just to look at it right now, today, at home, to think about managing your mental health at home, you can go on our website and look at all the resources there. We're also looking at mental health in the workplace and indeed getting people into work. So just go on the WMCA website and look at Thrive Mental Health. Then what we're also trying to do is encourage people to do more physical activity, because that's one of the underlying issues, particularly in minority populations. So something that's coming up quickly around that is the bike share scheme, coming across the whole region to enable people to get out on their bike. And of course, all the work that's been done recently to put new cycle lanes in place, that's making it easy for people to get out and about on bikes.
That's wonderful. Many cannot bury their loved ones in peace, given the symbolic state of floods in cemeteries. How will you be tackling this problem?
So this is just one cemetery in Handsworth, isn't it? If I understand it, that's
Yeah,
it's one
absolutely.
issue there, and that's a Birmingham City Council issue. But the Conservative group on Birmingham City Council, led by Bobby Alden, has been vociferous in asking for the works to be done to improve the drainage in that cemetery, because I've heard directly how terrible that is. And that is being picked up by the Birmingham Conservative group, as I say, vociferously.
Andy, people who bury their dead have a great reservation about whether their bodies will be burned or what strategy will be adopted if space is cemeteries is filled with too many deaths. Have you made any contingency plans to deal with such an issue should it arise?
So there are always searches for new cemetery grounds, but let me reassure everybody that there is no likelihood of what you're talking about coming to pass soon. And everybody must be reassured of that. I know it's a real concern in the community, but we still have to find more cemeteries in time. But at the moment, there is no need to be concerned about that. That would not be the right behaviour at all,
If
categorically.
Andy, I ask you, what percentage of BAME community make up staff and board members in the combined authority?
Yeah, okay. On board members, we sadly are not doing well there at all. There's a very small number. I think there are a number. None of the leaders of councils are from BAME communities. Some of the deputies are. What we have done, though, we've made sure that we have a chief executive of the combined authority who is a member of the BAME community. So that's really good that we made sure we did that. And we are also in the combined authority following the race code, which we're one of the first organisations in the West Midlands to do that. So I'm actually very proud of us doing that. And what we also have, of course, across the combined authority is our leadership commission, which is designed to make sure that more people from BAME communities move into positions of leadership. And we've got lots of businesses who've taken the pledge to do that. But I regret the fact that at the moment, the board, I can't choose who's on that. It's all the leaders of the authority, and they are not from BAME communities at this moment. What we're also trying to do, though, is encouraging more councillors to come through. And that way, if we get councillors from BAME community in time, we can hopefully have a leader from a BAME community as well. So lots of work in hand.
That's wonderful. Andy, I want to ask, what assurance can you give to the low-paid, the low-skilled, that isolating won't mean being homeless, as they are still liable for their council tax? What other assistance or measures are you taking to offer support to those that need it?
Okay, so let's be clear. This is government support. I can't claim credit myself, but there has been now a payment of £500 agreed for people who have to isolate. And I was very proud to have been one of the people who lobbied for that. There was no payment originally. I was clear that that was wrong because it was a disincentive to isolate. So I was on to the Treasury to make sure it came into place, and that is now there. The other thing, of course, that's been put in place is the ban on evictions, and that's came through very early on. So that's meant that people do not lose their homes and become homeless. So the government has taken two critical steps to address that particular problem.
Andy, are you already aware about that shortage of council houses? Have you get any initiative in future about that problem?
Yeah, so of course I'm aware. I'm aware that in the West Midlands there are thousands of people who are in bed and breakfast, or actually particularly in Birmingham, lot less so in other local authorities, particularly in Birmingham. So what we are trying to do, because we in the combined authority don't actually build the council houses, but what we are doing is we are building more houses than ever before, 17,000 last year, and making sure that over 20% of them are affordable. And of course, we're also working with housing associations to encourage them to be building as well. So we don't actually control the council houses, but we do control a lot. Well, we do encourage a lot more building of affordable housing, which of course is all available through private rent as well.
Actually, Mr. Aftab Khan sent me this question regarding Coventry train station, when it will be completed.
Coventry train station.
Yes.
So it's a huge redevelopment, so that everybody knows. £82 million, and the combined authority that I lead has put in about half of the money for that. So really pleased to be doing that. It's it's going to give a brilliant new entry to Coventry, big car park, big reception area, and also new platforms that will improve the service from Nuneaton to Leamington. It's running a little behind, so it'll probably be completed beginning of 2022.
Okay, that's good news for everybody who living in Coventry or Birmingham or West Midland area.
Yeah.
And actually, a lady from the Himaya Heaven, Razia Tariq Hidayat, she sent me a question. I heard one family member can go to the hospital with a family member. So why are people not allowed? Why can't family members are PPE and spend their final hours with dying family member, family being a partner, sons and daughters, and if allowed, grandchildren and brothers and sisters.
So, okay, so I think what you're referring to is the news that care homes are now moving towards having visitors, actually, not hospitals, or probably are. So you've seen all the media coverage of that, and so that's really good. But the hospital rules, it is for them to make the rules, of course, and they do vary to some extent. Some people do have allowed some contact. Others have made arrangements for virtual contact. So that's been good. And actually, charities have supported hospitals with technology to make those links to family members. But the reason why is it's very clear. It's all just about minimizing the spread. And tragic as it is as a family situation, the last thing anyone wants is further spread. So that's why the rules have regrettably had to be as they have been. But hospitals have gone enormous distance to try to make those other alternative forms of contact possible.
Thank you so much, Andy, Mayor of West Midland, for your precious time. Audience, we will appreciate your feedback. Keep watching WNTV. Thank you so much, Andy.
Well, thank you for
Thank
letting me join you and for what you're doing to get all the messages out to your community at this time. And let us hope that we are celebrating successful vaccination in a few days, and then we will at least be able to move steadily towards the end of this terrible crisis. Thank you very
so
much.
much. Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.